not good on the reasons. My village and origin story is no one wrote articles about me. Like, okay, dude.
Also, you said my village and origin story.
Oh, village, sorry. What's good? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. I am a grown man who never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid. I read them as an adult because I was on a quest to determine if society had been sleeping on that book series. I said yes, and now I'm seeing if society has also been sleeping on the Heroes of Olympus series. But today I am joined by a very special guest, someone who you know from the podcast, and you also, I was going to say, with the ghostly noise, you might know her as the podcast ghost.
Guys, haunting is my brand, okay?
That has shown up.
Actually, it was a theme of a lot of my art projects I did in college as well.
But you may have heard Sherry as the podcast ghost on my new show with Sequoia Professional Talkers, but you've definitely heard Sherry on this podcast, and you've kind of heard the machinations behind the scenes, the editing that she does. It's our very own Sherry Guo. Sherry, how's it going?
It's going well, but how are you doing? You just got off a flight.
Yes. So for the context of this, if anyone is like, why does Mike's audio sound slightly more echoey? We're doing a fun, chaotic thing where I have landed in St. Louis. I'm in my hotel that I'm here for because I'm doing a TNO show tonight. Then I'm here for Enchanticon. Then I'm going to Kansas City. But Sherry had called dibs on these chapters long ago. So in order to make the scheduling of this all work, we're recording this episode from my hotel room, Sherry back in New York. And then I will finish the recording, read the next 2.5 chapters, which we will be covering on stage tonight with Johnny in St. Louis. Then I'll do the other stuff and record another episode via live show in Kansas City, Missouri on Monday. So a lot of stuff going on.
Mike Schubert, multi-hyphenate, podcaster, master scheduler, father, improv comedian.
He does it all, folks. Yeah, I mean, really what it is we got to get these recordings in so that we can do the end of the Mark of Athena thing at the Providence show. So like I'm in crunch time mode of trying to get all these recordings in, and it'll be a fun spot where you and I are going to be like way far ahead so far ahead. We're recording this on August 15th.
This is coming out in October.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you're listening to it, it's October.
It's October. Happy October. I hope your costume is all ready to go.
I hope my costume is ready to go by then because I haven't started thinking yet. And normally I'm like really prepared for Halloween.
Kelly and I do have a plan. I came up with it. I don't remember what it is, but Kelly does. And I came up with it and it was really good.
Mike Schubert, not a costume planner.
No, but I like said it offhandedly of like, oh yeah, we should just do this because we're trying to do a costume that like she, I, and the baby can do. And we do have it. I will text Kelly.
Is it salt, pepper, and paprika from Blue's Clues?
That's good. No, it was something more niche. I'm going to text her. What was our Halloween costume idea again? And we'll see. But let's keep doing the episode. We'll see if Kelly answers during the recording. We're here to discuss a couple of chapters, 2.5 chapters of the Mark of Athena. We're going to be doing chapter 29, chapter 30, and then halfway through 31, because you had called dibs specifically about the thing that happens at that point in chapter 31. Yes, that was the purpose of this range of calling dibs, which you did like a year ago. So obviously I had to honor the dibs.
Actually, I wanted chapters that Robert and Mal wanted. So when I looked at the schedule, I was like, oh, well, the 2 chapters were split anyway. So I'll just pick my backup.
Okay. Oh.
I also just got done editing those. Well, you haven't received Mal's yet, but I swear I'm about to send it.
Good, because I'm cleaning up the audio for the next one to edit. The timeline of this is so funny. There's so many things happening. This is what goes into the podcast, everyone. But yeah, you had called dibs on these, and I can see why. Because the thing that happens halfway through chapter 31 is great. So let's get into it. Because you're already caught up on all of the guest questions. So let's just get right into chapter 29. So chapter 29 is titled Percy. Obviously, we will retitle it. Where we last left our heroes, they had finished up the Hercules adventure and made their spectacular escape. So we are back now with Percy's the narrator, and this chapter opens with, Percy was not feeling the love. So I'm feeling bad for my guy Percy. He explains that he's not feeling the love because he couldn't defeat Shrimpzilla. He's embarrassed about it. He's miffed that Chiron's bros didn't want to meet him, and he's jealous that he didn't get to meet Hercules.
The fame has gotten to his head. He expects to be popular amongst all the Greek characters now because he's the Percy Jackson.
I want to give it a more sympathetic read. Like, I do get him being like, but wait, I'm the water guy. Like, shouldn't you want to talk to me? It's also this weird thing of, especially now that I'm here at Enchanticon, like when I was checking into the hotel, someone was wearing a Camp Half-Blood shirt. And I wanted to be like, I wonder if they listen to the newest Olympian. But like, they could just be a Percy Jackson fan that doesn't listen, and maybe they've never even heard of the show. And I don't want to be like, well, clearly you're a fan of mine, because anyone that likes Percy Jackson listens to this Percy Jackson podcast,
and of course, we'll go to every Mike Schubert event.
Right. Oh, you're at Enchanticon for me. But yeah, so it's this weird thing of like, I want to be approachable in case someone is nervous, like, oh my gosh, Mike Schubert. Because you should never think that. You should never be like, oh my gosh, Mike Schubert, I shouldn't talk to him. Like, unless I'm like deep editing, like looking angry at my laptop, maybe don't talk to me then. But if I'm just like out and about somewhere, like, no, just say hi. I'm not important. I'm a boy who podcasts. I talk into microphones and I put it on the internet. So like, I want to be able to like be approachable and be like, hey, it's okay. You know, you don't have to act like I'm a celebrity, because I'm not. But then I don't want to do the thing where I'm like, well, you know who I am. And it's like, I'm sorry, sir. Who are you? This is a Wendy's, you know? It's tough. It's tricky. So I end up just looking happy and approachable. And then if they talk to me, cool. And if they don't, okay, maybe they didn't know me.
I would love if you would talk to me, but I don't want to assume you want to talk to me. So like, I'll just be here cool and chill.
Exactly.
But please come talk to me.
Exactly. Well, the good thing is if they do know who I am and they're still too nervous, they'll be like, oh, Mike Schubert just looks so nice. Like he looks like such a nice chap.
So approachable.
But I do know that probably my resting production work on the podcast face is probably like, because I'm like staring in like 0.001 seconds or 0.002 seconds for this audio clip. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So he's jealous, as you said. Fame's gotten to him. After he heard Piper's recap of what went down, though, with Hercules, he was less upset, given that Hercules was a jerkules. But Percy doesn't love just chilling on deck, especially not while they are at sea. That's his turf. And I am thinking, all right, man, you're going to get your day in the sun very soon. We are flying currently. We will be on the water. There's no way that Rick would have all of this buildup for the Mare Nostrum and then not have you be on the Mare Nostrum. And the other thing, he's feeling useless, but like he was a key component of their escape plan. Like he channeled a huge wave to knock Hercules aside so that they could escape. So I think he's just completely off base here.
He has main character syndrome a little bit. He's like, aren't I the most important of the seven, though? Like, these books are named after me. Technically not this series, but the series that this series is built on? Yes.
It's not my name, the books anymore. However, yeah. But I think for him, it's more of, he feels like the obligation of like, I'm supposed to do all this stuff.
That's his fatal flaw. He's like so loyal to the point of like, I have to do everything. I can't give up control.
Yes, right. And as someone who struggles with delegating, I get it. I totally get it, my guy. It's tough, but also like you can't do it all. You just can't do it all. Now, Percy's also sad because Annabeth has been distant since Charleston. She's been spending a lot of time by herself in her room, studying the map or using the dead Dellus laptop. But even when she is present, she isn't present. Narrator Percy gives us an example of how conversations have gone lately. Percy, hey, how's it going? Annabeth, no, thanks. Percy, okay, have you eaten anything today? Annabeth, I think Leo is on duty. Ask him. Percy, so my hair's on fire. Annabeth, okay, in a while.
This reminds me of how conversations with my mother would go in high school when I was trying to bother her about something like, hey, like I need supplies for this project tomorrow. And she's like working away. And she's like, yeah, whatever, please go away.
Yeah, I think I've never done the thing where Annabeth is just like guessing, I guess, the answers and just like saying wrong things. But I've definitely done the just go like, yeah, yeah, when I'm like half listening. And Kelly will definitely call me out on this sometimes. So like it happens.
Do you get quizzed?
No, I don't get quizzed. If Kelly's the one pointing it out, she'll be like, are you paying attention? Just like checking of like, are you actually listening? Or are you, because there's different levels of multitask, you know, like if I'm on my phone or doing something else or even on my computer, there is like mindlessly sending emails that I've already read to the archive. And then there is like replying to a text message. Like there's a spectrum of how intense is this multitasking. Percy understands that this is going to happen when dating a child of Athena, but he wonders what to do to get through to her, and he wonders if he can help her in any way before getting shut out completely. Now, the ship travels in the air for a few hundred miles, and Percy had hoped that the dangers of the Mare Nostrum were just overhyped, but the tides changed almost instantly once they crossed into this border. Multiple times an hour, something attacks them. There are Stymphalian bird attacks, storm spirit attacks, a wild Pegasus shows up and starts stomping on Coach Hedge's food, and it makes Percy long for blackjack. Narrator Percy also adds that Tempest and Arion have also not shown up in addition to Blackjack, so none of our horse friends are along for this journey.
And importantly, the only Pegasus that did show up stomped Coach Hedge's enchiladas.
Correct.
Very important detail.
Very important detail. I do like that he was also eating enchiladas. It made me wonder, is this a universal satyr favorite food?
Maybe.
Grover obviously loves enchiladas.
They're like Webkins. When you logged on a pet, they'd get randomly assigned a favorite food. What if you adopt a satyr and you get this piece of paper that's favorite food, enchiladas? Please always have on deck.
I'm glad that you had the Webkins lore, because I did not do Webkins. I was a Neopets boy.
I was a little bit too young to understand Neopets.
Neopets, you did have to feed them because they would go hungry. They wouldn't die, but they would be the hunger level of starving, which they would stay at forever unless you fed them from things like the daily omelet. That was my go-to because you could get free food once a day from this big daily omelet, and it would be different flavors. I don't know if there was a spot for favorite food, but I think there were certain things that you could find out that your pets liked more. I think there's certain flavors of the omelet where it'd be oh, I love the one with sausage. Oh, I hate the one with vegetables. And I don't think it was a universal thing. I think you had to find out oh no, I can't give. Right. I can't give the cheese only omelet to my Jub. He doesn't like the cheese only omelet. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was random. And I remember being upset in the game that one of them was say cheese only, and then one was cheese and veggies, and then maybe one was veggie only, and it was something where it didn't line up, where he was he liked veggies, he liked cheese, but he didn't like the cheese and veggie, so oh, they can't be together. I don't know. I feel there was some time
somehow
where,
that's different.
Yeah, I think it was something. I think it might have been let's say it was peppers and onions, and he liked the peppers and onions one, but then if I tried to give him just the onion one, he'd be ew, gross. And it's what, you can only eat onions if they're with peppers? As
if somehow they magically turn into a peponion. I don't know.
I mean, look, all this being said, I love gin and tonic, the drink, and that was one of the first mixed drinks that I had, and it was given to me by a friend. I went to a bar when I recently turned 21, and he was if he had a mixed drink before, and I was oh no, and he said, do you like Christmas? And I said yes, and he said, I'm getting you a gin and tonic. It tastes like Christmas. And I was okay. And there are notes of pine. I agree with that. I don't know. Well, I get it. Maybe it's just because he said it right before I had my first one ever. But I feel you get some pine tree-ish notes with it. But then later on in my life, my friend was having a bar crawl, and one of the bars they went to was a martini bar. And I was oh, I'll get a gin martini. I like gin and tonic, so I guess I'll like this too. You know what's not good? Gin martinis. Straight gin, horrendous. Yeah, there was the olive and the vermouth or whatever, but it was awful. And one sip in, I was oh, this is really bad. And this is how you know I'm old. This was in San Francisco, and I was oh, I wasted $7 on this.
$7?
A $7 martini.
You can get a soda for maybe $7 at a bar now.
Yeah, this is either 2014 or 2015. So wild times. So all that being said, gin plus tonic, fantastic. Gin by itself, I hate it. So maybe this is my Jub's vibe. Onions plus peppers, amazing. Onions only, get the hell away from me, how dare you? Anyway, Percy Jackson. At midnight, after about 10 attacks, Jason offers for Percy to sleep. And I was yes, dreams, we need them. Go to bed. Jason says, while we're in the sky, I'll blast stuff. And then when we get down to the ocean, we can switch. I'll rest and you can defend us, which I think makes sense. And I love them working together. Good teamwork from our boys.
Mm-hmm. They've learned from Kansas.
Mm-hmm. Percy goes down and he crashes. Quote, his nightmares, of course, were anything but restful. So Percy dreams that he's in a dark cavern. He can tell that it's huge, even though he can only see a few feet in front of himself. There's water dripping nearby, and Percy can tell that the ceiling of this place is very, very high above, even if he can't see it just from the echoing sound and stuff. He can tell this place is huge. Now our giant twins emerge. Percy identifies them by their hair, the big F with green hair. I had said, and thank goodness I was just going over the episode where I was like, I will only call him the big F. Like that one came out in the Zurich show. So now I got to just keep calling him the big F because I said I would do it. And I'm a commit to the bit guy. I'm still calling her Gia. So I'm only calling him the big F.
Look, I respect a commit to the bit. I was a 12th season athlete in high school for the bit.
Wait,
I found
12
out
season athlete? What
yeah,
does
I did
that
cross
term
country,
mean?
indoor track, and outdoor track every year.
Oh.
Because my high school did this thing where, like, at the sports banquet, if you were a 12th season athlete, you got like a nice fancy plaque with your name on it. And I was more of like the participation trophy type of person. So I was like, the one thing I'll earn in my life will be this. So I ran for 4 years just for that plaque. Haven't really run since because I did a lifetime of running in high school. I was the slowest person on the team pretty much when I started. But I was like, I've committed to this. I have to do this for the bit.
Why is it called 12 season? There's only 4 seasons.
No, because there's 4 years and there's 3 seasons of sports.
Oh, 12. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, look, if that existed, I might do it too. That's pretty cool. On a similar thing, because like getting the plaque at the end, especially if you know it, that's cool that you knew it right away.
Someone told me about it just like offhand. And
yeah.
I was like, okay, like I'll be doing that because I originally tried out for the badminton team, hearing that there were no cuts.
Your school had a badminton team? Oh no, you got cut.
I got cut from the badminton team.
Sure,
so then my friend that was on the cross country team was like,
badminton.
okay, there's actually no cuts on this team. Like, just come join me. Like, we can run together, you know? She didn't tell me she was one of the fastest runners on the team and was on the varsity team. Meanwhile, I was there like chugging along like a 32-minute 5K.
My friend Katie Ledecky told me to join the swim team. Oh man, that's great. Yeah, glad that you knew about it because there were some like high school things where it's like, oh yeah, if you have this amount of grades, you can get this. And this happened to me my K through 8 school. There was this award that they gave out after graduating 8th grade. I think it must have started at like a certain grade point, but if you always got A's like in literally every single class forever, there was this like big fancy president's award at the end. You had to get an A in every class at every single like report card. We did quarterly, not semesters, so I guess quarters. So you would 4 times a year get grades. And my school, it was tough. An A was a 93.
Oh,
92 and
what?
92 was a B. Yeah, like it was a very intense
My
school.
school was an 89.5 and above was an A.
Yeah.
But that's public school for you.
This was a trickier one, my little private K through 8 Catholic school. But there was literally in the timeline of it, I think it was like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, if you had all days and literally everything. I did save for 1 quarter of history class in 8th grade. I got a 92. And had I known about this thing, I would have gone to Miss Woodman and been like, Mrs. Woodman, can I please do any sort of extra credit to bump me from a 92 to a 93 so that I can get this award? So it was like the gold whatever award, and then you would get the silver if you had like 90s and above or something. So I got the silver one, but I was like, I missed it by 1 point in 1 quarter of 1 class for this thing that was tracked for 3 years that I didn't know existed. Like, and I, as you can tell, have not recovered.
No, the cross country bit, my sister, like, that's one of the first things she tells other people about me because she's like, no, this is like so representative, Sherry. Like, she will commit to the bit for like the stupidest reason.
I support it though. The only silver lining of this was that this award for the 8th grade thing, it was like a magna summa cum laude kind of thing where you just like graduated like with distinction or whatever. There was no like physical trophy that I missed out on. There was nothing like that. So at least I can just like tell myself internally, like, yeah, I was 1 point of 1 quarter in 1 class away. But man, if I ever saw Mrs. Woodman, if I ever came across her, I'm for sure talking to her. But I have no idea what she's up to. I hope she's doing all right. She was an interesting professor. Maybe I'll do a whole bonus episode about Mrs. Woodman because I could. But let's talk about this. This is a classic Mike and Cherry episode. We're 20 minutes in.
And we're 2 pages into the chapter.
All right, let's get back. We got it. Oh my God, this always happens. Yeah, because I have a show. I got to read. Oh my God, holy crap. Okay, so the big F. He has green hair with coins in his braids. Otis is purple with what looks like firecrackers braided into his hair. I wonder if they will come back. I hope that something happens, like Leo sets him on fire and then like firecrackers go off. I would love it. They're wearing matching white pants and gold pirate shirts. They have rhinestone belts with a dozen daggers sheathed in them. They are wearing open-toed sandals, which confirms that they do have snake for feet. And their snakes are like in the place of where toes would be. And they're all like chomping around. Didn't love this. Didn't love this. Didn't need this visual. That's like crystal clear in my brain right now.
I also didn't love that Rick specifically said their snake toes were like dogs looking out the window. It was like, we didn't need the literal toes as dogs comparison.
It's tough,
there.
man. It's real tough. But power to him, because it makes you really like squirm in your seat. The twins are standing in front of Percy, but they pay him no mind. Classic dream rules. They stare into the black and announce that they are here to the void, and a voice booms back that they know. Those outfits are hard to miss. Narrator Percy says the voice made Percy's stomach drop about 6 inches. It sounded vaguely female, but not at all human. Each word was a gnarled hiss in multiple tones, as if a swarm of African killer bees had learned to speak English in unison. So because they had this description that utilized insects, I was like, definitely arachne. Like, I'm feeling pretty confident about the guess here. Obviously, trapdoor has to stay intact, but
I'm contracting every muscle in my face to not react.
You did a very good job. Percy knows that this isn't Gia, and it's clear that the giants fear this person, or entity, or creature, or big giant spider, my guess. She asks about the outfits. The big F blames Otis for wearing the wrong costume. He was supposed to be the magician, not a second knife thrower. This bit is also, talk about committing to a bit. This is great.
Yeah,
the theatrics are fantastic.
These outfits, so ridiculous.
This would be,
the outfits are so ridiculous that they're like, overlord, whoever this person is like, I'm sorry, I just need to stop. What are you wearing?
It's great. It's really good. And we'll have to see over the course of when I'm at Enchanticon, we'll see if anyone's cosplaying. But like, you want to do a deep cut Percy Jackson cosplay with a friend or a Halloween costume? Look, this episode's coming out in October. Need a Halloween costume with your friend and you're both obsessed with Percy Jackson? Go as the big F and Otis. They have multiple different outfits that you could make work. You could do their like matching yellow tunics or whatever is like in the dream, or you could do this. There's lots of options.
This one's easy because it's basically a pirate costume with a few extra accessories, and everyone owns a pirate costume in their closet. It's just a loose white shirt and like tan or black pants.
It wouldn't be great, but I could piece it together.
I didn't say they were good. Everyone just owns
passable pirate costume. Yeah, passable. So finally, the Big F says that they came as she requested with news. And their news is that the ship is approaching. They keep referring to her as her ladyship. So I will keep saying that. But in my heart, know that I wanted to write Arachne every single time. So her ladyship makes hissing noises that take Percy a second to realize, oh, this is her laughing. That's terrifying. She asks when they will arrive, the people on the ship. They say that they'll reach Rome shortly after dawn. The Big F says that they'll have to get past, quote, the Golden Boy first. And I was like, who's the Golden Boy? We'll see about the Golden Boy quite soon.
When I was rereading this, I forgot they reveal it in the same chapter. And I was like, who is this? Did a little like Riordan wiki search. And I was like, oh, right.
Oh, right. The reason I called dibs. So good. So when the giant says the Golden Boy, he says it with disgust. So he's not a big fan of the Golden Boy. She hopes that they successfully make it to Rome. Otherwise, it would spoil all the fun. She asks if the twins have made the necessary preparations. Otis steps forward and confirms, but when he does, the cave trembles and a crack forms below his left foot. She tells him to be careful, yelling this at him, asking if he wants to return to Tartarus the hard way, the harderest way. She calls him a dolt, which I love.
It's
the
the
specific
best
word of dolt.
insult.
It's really good. My dad used to call people dolts when he was driving and we were in the car and he didn't want to yell at them. He would call people dolts. And then when he would stop himself short of saying things, he would call people dips instead of dip. What else you think it probably is, but this is an all ages podcast. But yeah, dolt is just, it's a really good one. It's for me, like, it's similar of like calling someone like a dweeb or something. Like, it's just the consonant sound of dolt is just really good and very much conveys like, oh yeah, like person not being smart right now. It's one of those, like, I don't know, whenever I first heard it was probably from my dad, but it's one of those words that just like sounds like its definition. Like, oh, you dolt. Like, you don't need context to be like, oh yeah, okay, I gotta get what a dolt is. Whoa, dolt, adult. Oh, adults are just dolts. Whoa. Okay. Anyway, Percy only now realizes that the floor is kind of like the glacier from book 2. It's sturdy in some places, but not in others. Her ladyship says that there is little holding this place together aside from her own skill. Quote, centuries of Athena's rage can only be contained so well, and the great Earth Mother churns below us in her sleep. She says her nest is being eroded between the two forces, and she hopes that the child of Athena proves to be a worthy victim, as she may be her last, quote, plaything. Don't love it. Don't love it. The Big F says that soon Gia will rise and she will no longer have to guard this place or keep her works hidden. And her ladyship agrees, but says that she will miss the sweetness of her revenge. And she comments, you know, we've been a good team over the years. And then when the Big F bows in agreement, Percy clocks that some of the coins in his hair are the same silver drachmas that Annabeth's Mark of Athena coin is. So he is realizing, oh, wow, he's keeping trophies from defeated demigods. And he just gets even more enraged at these giants who he already hates. Percy imagines Annabeth being in this place and facing these foes, and he wants to, quote, give the giant a haircut starting at the neck, but he knows he can't. It's a great way to phrase that. The Big F reminds her ladyship that Gia wants Annabeth alive. She can torture and torment her, quote, but her blood must be spilt in the ancient stones. And this made me have a quick tangent thought. When is something spilled and when is something spilt?
What? I don't know.
Right? I'm going to Google
the
spilled
quote is
and
don't cry
spilt.
over spilled or spilt milk?
Spilled.
Okay.
If someone said don't cry over spilt milk, that's way too fancy. Okay, at least what the, reddit.com/r/grammar. Spilt versus spilled. And here is a description that came from, they said that they Googled it and they found this. So this is from a 12-year-old post, so it's at least not Google AI, so I support this. Spilt was once the standard past tense and participle form of the verb spill, but in modern English, the word has mostly given way to spilled in all its uses. While spilt is almost completely absent from American and Canadian English, it still appears in British and Australian English as both a past tense verb and a past participle, about a third as often as spilled. Yeah, I mean, what I really gonna say was like spilled is normal and spilt is fancy and old school. And I guess because it's this old ancient ritual that they have to do, like the blood must be spilt on the ancient lands.
That's probably a direct quote taken from their like chanting whatever they do before this ceremony they're talking about.
Yeah. This thing just continues. As far as we can tell, there's no rule governing when to use spilled and spilt in British and Australian English. The two words are used interchangeably. We're American though, so let us know if we're missing something. That was the description. But yeah, I think if the blood has to be spilled on the ancient lands, it must be spilt on the ancient lands. If the blood needs to be spilled in like a combination Pizza Hut Taco Bell, I think it's spilled. The blood must be spilled along with Baja Blast.
Spilled feels purposeful. Spilled feels just like, you dropped the pizza.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's why it's don't cry over spilled milk, because it's accidental. But I don't think you can accidentally have something be spilt. Like it is intentionally spilt. This was spilt. Great.
There was a blood ritual involved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Any blood ritual, even maybe a modern one, but like a blood ritual, yeah, spilt. Like, I think if it's some sort of like fancy antiquated thing happening, it has to be spilt. You're mixing something in a cauldron, it's spilt. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So it must be spilt on the ancient lands. Her ladyship hisses that the others could serve that role, and the Big F agrees, but clarifies that Annabeth is preferred along with the boy, who I'm guessing is Percy. Quote, you can see why those two would be most suited for the task.
Because they're lovers.
But of course, Percy doesn't know what that means, but he does want to break the floor and send these fools tumbling to their doom. He vows to protect Annabeth and himself. Her ladyship sends the twins away to prep, and so that she can work in the darkness. The dream fades, and then Percy wakes to an exhausted Jason saying that they've hit the water, so it's his turn. Percy then reluctantly wakes Annabeth. He doesn't want to, but he knows, I gotta relay these dream details, so let's do it. They are now on the deck with Leo, who's still at the helm. It's past curfew. Leo insists on staying up because he doesn't want a sequel to Shrimpzilla. He still blames himself for the attack, despite everyone telling him, it's not your fault, dude, you're good. Percy gets it, though, as he is too harsh on himself anytime he makes a mistake, so he understands why Leo would feel similarly. It is now 4 a.m. The fog is thick. The swells are 20 feet tall, which is really bad. I have been on a boat in 15-foot swells before, and let's just say I needed a vomit bag for it.
When they say swell, they mean like the amount the boat like changes when it rocks in height?
Yeah, like my understanding is that that would be like the peak of the crest of the wave.
Okay.
So like the difference between flat water and then however high up the wave is going to send you.
That's steep.
It's really severe. So I had this happen when Kelly and I were going whale watching in Australia, and it was like the last day of the whale watching season, so the ocean was like rougher. This is we saw firsthand why the season was ending the next day, but it was the only day we could go, and it was like one of the first days into our trip, so we were like, let's give it a shot. And they were like 3 to 5 meter swells, so the highest that we were getting was 15 feet, right? Or is it, yeah, because a meter is like about a yard, and there's 3 feet in a yard. So yeah, so I've never been in 20 foot, but 15 was like really bad. It was like, are we going to be okay bad? So this is awful. This is awful stuff.
Yeah, I don't really love boats, so would not do that personally.
Yeah, I love going on the ferry in New York City, but like I love a boat that's like bigger than the choppiness of the water calls for. And I am fine being in a kayak because then I'm like there. But if I was on like small boat, I don't think I would like it. Now, Percy, speaking of this story, can hear Hazel vomiting, and the way that it's described is great. The sea heaving underneath them. Percy could hear Hazel down in her cabin, also heaving. Even though it's really rough, Percy is stoked to be back on the water, and then he tells Annabeth about the dream. Percy wondered how she would take the news, and she gave a reaction worse than he anticipated. A lack of surprise. Annabeth looks out into the sea and asks Percy to do her a favor, tell no one about this. And Percy is shocked, but she insists that what he saw was about the Mark of Athena quest. It's not really going to help the others. It's not pertinent information. It's only going to make them worry, and that'll make it harder for them to let Annabeth go out solo, so she doesn't want him to tell her. And my thought is, it is the title of the book, Annabeth. It's going to affect the entire squad, but I get where she's coming from.
I get this though, because as someone who gets more anxious when other people tell me they're anxious for me about something that I'm not proportionally as anxious as they are, that stresses me out more than just the anxiety itself. So I get this about Annabeth. I'm like, please don't tell me you're worried about me, because I feel like I'm responsible for coming back alive, you know? Not that I'm doing ridiculous quests, but you get the idea.
I get the idea because this would happen in school sometimes where it's like, oh yeah, we have a problem set due Friday at noon. And then I would start it Thursday night. And then someone would be like, oh, you only just started the problem set? Ooh, okay, good luck. And it's like, oh no. Or you're moving and you're moving on Friday. It's like you're talking to someone about it and they're like, you only started putting your stuff in boxes on Wednesday? Ooh.
Yeah, because you're like,
now it's like, wait. I'm not
worried.
Why are you worried? Should I have been more worried? Yeah, I totally get it. Percy thinks that Annabeth cannot be serious in wanting to face off against whatever that beast was in the dream alone. She knows that it sounds wild, but she also knows that she has to do it. And Percy's angry, but he's not sure at who or what. Is he upset at Annabeth? Is he upset at the contents of the dream? Or is he just mad at the world that always seems to want to incessantly make his life, quote, suck as much as possible?
It's always the world, Percy.
The world. Percy knows that Annabeth knows what's in the cave. He guesses that it involves spiders, and Annabeth confirms it's got to be arachne, which makes Percy even more confused that she would want to go through with this. But he knows that once Annabeth has made up her mind, there's no changing it. He also recalls how hard the Titan's curse was when she was gone from him. So how could he willingly let her go? In the Titan's curse, she was taken away from him. Is he really going to voluntarily sign up for that level of pain again? He doesn't want to do it. Now, at this moment, he realizes that those days of agony were just days of agony. Annabeth went through 6 months of agony while he was gone. So that really puts into perspective for him, oh my gosh. And he feels a little guilty, feels a little selfish, but he knows deep down that she has to go on this quest. The fate of the world relies on it.
If you love something, let it go, Percy.
Ooh. But part of him wants to say, forget the world, because he doesn't want to be without her. So sweet, so sweet. Percy is still able to steer perfectly, even though he can't see in front of him because of the fog. He can sense every detail, like the latitude and longitude and the direction of the currents and stuff like that. But it's still spooky to not be able to see what's directly ahead of you. And we'll see how that affects him pretty soon. Something about the water feels more powerful than the other seas that he's been in, and he can sense that there are monsters all abound, ancient monsters that have been asleep for years, waking in glee at the presence of demigods. So really creepy stuff. Percy tells Annabeth that they are almost at the Italian coast, and thus the mouth of the Tiber, but then Percy yells for Leo to stop, but it's not in time as another boat rams them head on, and only then does Percy sense the details of it. It's another trireme. It has black sails with a Gorgon head on them, and the crew is made up of people that are humanoid mostly, and they're wearing full suits of armor and stuff, and they are ready to attack. Festus shoots fire at them. Some burn and have to jump overboard to extinguish the flames, but a handful of these warriors jump aboard the Argo II Royal Engagement. The Princess Diaries is in the mix.
Princess Diaries or Pirate Diaries?
Ooh, give me an alternate universe, the same cast of the Princess Diaries, but on a boat. Give me Julie Andrews, give me Anne Hathaway, give me everybody, but pirates now. Mm-hmm. These folks shoot grappling lines at the ship, and then when Percy gets his wits about him, they are just completely surrounded by these warriors. And these warriors are humanoid dolphins. Leo sounds the alarm bell and tries to man a ballista, but these warriors just dogpile him. And I wrote in my notes, Percy, call on Dolphus or whatever that guy's name was for help. I think it was Dolphus, but it was something where it was like, I'm Dolphus, the god of dolphins, and I'm a dolphin, and I made fun of his name. Call on that dude. Get him to get these dolphins to buzz off, or get good dolphins to help you. Annabeth and Percy do their classic back-to-back weapons drawn stance that they've done time and time again. Percy tries to summon waves to splash these dudes, but it is of no use. It doesn't work. He has no luck. He raises Riptide, but knows that it's helpless given how outnumbered they are. And several enemies then open their mouths, and only then does Percy realize how sinister dolphin teeth can look when they are not friendly. And I agree. They're creepy-looking teeth.
This is probably the one accurate portrayal of how aggressive dolphins can be in children's media.
This is huge because everyone's like, oh, dolphins, they're so cute. And it's like, do you know what dolphins do? Let's do some research.
They are
about
cute,
dolphins.
though. I've swam with dolphins before.
Look, they're cute. They're pretty. They do cute
When they're
things.
trained, they're really cute.
Right. But we know what dolphins do. Or if we don't and you're young, you'll hopefully learn what dolphins do.
When I first made a Facebook account, I didn't want to put like an actual picture of me because I was like below the minimum age. So I went on like PicMonkey or whatever it was called back then, one of those, like free, terrible editors. Mm-hmm. And I made my profile picture a picture of a dolphin wearing a mustache because that was when like mustaches were in.
Oh, yeah.
And the caption on this fake Polaroid of a digital clip art dolphin was, I don't remember what it said anymore, but I can send you the picture. I think it said like, how are you? Or like, what are you doing? Or something ridiculous. This was my Facebook profile picture that 6th grade classmates saw when I like friended them on Facebook. And they were like, is that you? Like just making sure.
Yeah, obviously I'm the mustache dolphin. I'm the mustachioed dolphin. That's me. Please send me this so when we post this episode, I can put it on Instagram. Perfect while we're in Tangent Town. It's me, the mayor of Tangent Town. Kelly has replied with what my idea was. It's a maybe happy ending costume.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, but basically a key character is a houseplant, mm-hmm. and so much so that it's listed in the cast in the playbill. But I would dress up as, I don't want to do spoiler things, so I will just say, I will dress up as the male lead from Maybe Happy Ending. Kelly will dress up as the female lead from Maybe Happy Ending, and our baby will be dressed as the houseplant from Maybe Happy Ending. So I'll keep it as vague as possible.
I'm trying to see it like as soon as possible before Darren Criss leaves.
Correct.
Hey, it's Mike from the future here. In between recording this and posting this, it was announced that Darren Criss will actually be back performing in his role in Maybe Happy Ending starting November 5th. He was just taking a little break. Anyway, back to the podcast.
But the ticket prices shot up after the Tony, so I have to, go to the morning rush.
Okay, yeah. No, Kelly and I are going to try to see it as well. We saw it separately, and now we're going to try to like get a babysitter so that we can go see it together before Darren Criss leaves. Yeah. But no, it's like halfway through August, and he leaves at the end of August, so like we got to do it.
Yeah. And a friend of a friend is the female lead right now, so
I'm
like,
yeah,
I don't even know
Helen.
her, but like I feel like I have to go see this version of the show.
Yeah, she's very talented. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So Leo is dragged to the deck. There is struggling going below in the cabins. Percy hopes that they are just being captured and not killed. A human breaks through the ring of dolphins, and the reverence shown towards him makes it clear that he is their leader. He's wearing Greek combat armor. There are sea monsters on his gold breastplate. All of his items are gold, and I wrote, the golden boy. He has a golden Greek blade. Percy also thinks, oh yeah, this has got to be the golden boy. And then he has a scary helmet that is shaped like a gorgon. Percy asks who he is and what he wants, and he laughs and then quickly disarms Percy with his sword. Riptide goes flying into the sea, but no worries, it's Riptide, will be okay. But Percy is surprised at how quickly and easily he was disarmed. And then this guy greets Percy saying, hello, brother. And I was like, a son of Poseidon. Oh my goodness. he has an exotic, possibly Middle Eastern accent that seems familiar. And thank goodness I made fun of the weird phrasing of Rick saying possibly Middle Eastern accent on episode 7 or 5 of the newest Olympian, whatever it was. This has got to be Medusa's kid, because the only other time maybe vaguely Middle Eastern came up in a book in the Riordanverse, it was to describe her accent. So obviously, also with the context clues of Gorgon stuff, I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is the son of Medusa. The book ends this chapter with, quote, "Always happy to rob a fellow son of Poseidon. I am Chrysaor, the golden sword. As for what I want," he turned his metal mask towards Annabeth, "well, that's easy. I want everything you have." I mean, look, I know he's the villain. He sounds really cool.
I mean, he's gold.
I mean, Golden Boy? Come on. Yeah, man. So that is the end of chapter 29. I have retitled it Nightmare at Sea, because there's the literal one and then there's the nightmare scenario. What do you, or maybe let's Percy Jacksonify it. I'll make it, I have a nightmare at sea. What would you retitle chapter 29?
Mine is, are you ready, mateys?
Are you ready, kids? Oh, who has a golden armor and a helmet? Cry, say your All right, now we're going to take our mid-roll break, the Market of Athena, and then we will continue through by doing chapter 30, which is really short, and then half of chapter 31. Hello and welcome to the Market of Athena Auxiliary Shubio edition. I'm here with some updates about the podcast, and we've got some exciting things happening, especially going on in the new year if you live down under. But let's talk about updates with the podcast. First, just a reminder that I did put the video version of the stream that we did for the ending of the Mark of Athena up on the TNO Patreon shop. So if you go to thenewsolympian.com/Patreon, you go to the shop tab, you can get that video replay for $15. It was the same price as the tickets. And what's nice about this video is that it is in HD, and the stream people actually did some color correction. They did some sound improvements, and they edited out all of the parts where we talked about the technical difficulties that were going on in the stream. If you bought a ticket to the stream, check your email inbox, because I sent a download link to everyone who bought a stream ticket, because you bought a ticket to the stream, you should get this video for free. Now, what was the Down Under thing that I mentioned earlier? Well, that is the beginnings of another tour through Australia and New Zealand. Kelly and I are planning to do a trip with the little one in January and February of 2026, and we have booked the flights, and I'm currently in talks with venues and tax people and visa people about the legality of it all, but we're trying to make a tour happen. The rough plan so far, and this is all penciled in, nothing is official yet, but the rough plan so far is to basically do shows on Saturdays throughout January and February. So hopefully, if we can get this all to line up, it would be January 3rd in Sydney, January 10th in Perth, January 17th in Melbourne, January 24th in Brisbane, January 31st in Wellington, and February 7th in Auckland. That is the plan. I'm going to try to make that happen. Obviously, stay tuned here in mid-roll breaks for when those things become real. If you want to follow us on social media, at Newest Olympian on Instagram, that's a great place where I post updates about tour stuff. So if you live in or near those cities and you want to try and pencil stuff in, do some penciling, but don't bust out the Sharpies quite yet. Now, one thing about this episode in particular, I wish I made this comment when I was going over the edit that Sherry sent and I was doing the production work on it. I thought that when you get to the part later in the chapters that we're covering, when Frank and Percy do the fake out where Frank turns into a dolphin and acts like he's struggling and everything, to me, that has very now play nice Toy Story vibes when they're messing with Sid. And I wish I had made that comment. So here I am in the mid-roll break making that comment. I love Toy Story so much. Also, an update about the bookmarks stuff that was going on for yearly patrons. We have mailed all of the bookmarks out. So with the help of Kelly and with my parents who were in town and some help from the baby, we mailed out. We had a whole organization thing. We put them all in. We packaged them. We sealed all the envelopes, and those have all been sent out. So I would say give it a little bit of time, especially given the fun stuff that's going on with mail for the United States abroad. So I would say give it a month. If you don't get your stuff by November 15th, shoot me a message on Patreon. That would be the best place, and it's the easiest place because then I can see what your patron name is, and it's very easy for us to cross-reference our sheets and all of that.
So I would say just give it a month, especially if you're abroad. And then if you don't have your thing by November 15th, reach out. We have extra bookmarks, so don't worry. Reach out and then we'll get that sorted before Kelly and I end up doing any sort of holiday related travel. We'll try to send that out. But November 15th is your date of, hey, where are my bookmarks? Shoot me a DM on Patreon. Now, speaking of the Patreon, I want to give a shout out to the folks who have joined most recently. So shout out to our newest God tier patrons, Megan Harden and Nick of Time. And shout out to our newest demigod tier patrons, James Nelson, Nathan Gill, Isabel Corvus, Vanilla Orchid 95, and Olivia. And shout out to Alex DeLong, who upgraded their pledge. Thank you all so much for your support. May Poseidon bless you in making a decision when it comes to rain, whether or not you should just go with a rain jacket or a small umbrella or an intense umbrella, that you bring the right thing. There's all different sorts of rains and there's all different sorts of precautions, and hopefully he can help you find the right one. Now, if you're all caught up in the news Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you are in luck because I make a whole bunch of content and it's not just podcasts. One of the things that I do is a D&D stream with some other podcasters called 20 to Midnight, and we are doing our big conclusion of our first arc very soon. October 17th, we're going to be doing a big stream where I will be there with the whole team, I think, concluding the main story. There might be epilogue type stuff, but like the big final situation is going to be going down in that stream. It's going to be really fun. You can watch it by going to 20tomidnight.com. I think that auto directs you to our Twitch, but replays of our streams are available on Twitch and on YouTube. So if you need to get caught up, that's where you can go. It's been really fun. Gabriel Urbina is our dungeon master and game designer, and he's done an incredible job. And then I love playing alongside Beth Ayer, who you've heard on the show, and Emma Sherjarko, who you have heard on some of my other podcasts. So check that out, 20to midnight on YouTube or Twitch. It's going to be fun. Now, unless you are listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors to make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me, such as the one that is promoting the crowdfunding campaign for Alyssa Esteban's podcast group, Lengthy Tangent, and some of them won't be. The ones that are inserted locally. So if you live in Eswatini, which the internet tells me was formerly called Swaziland, I was familiar with Swaziland. When did they become Eswatini? April of 2018. I missed that. I'm so sorry, Eswatini. Wow. Well, if you're listening there, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in English or in Swati. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of the News Olympian. And we're back. It's chapter 30. It's called Percy. We'll retitle it. It opens with, quote, Percy's heart did jumping jacks while Chrysaor, is it Chrysaor or should I be saying like Chrysor? I don't know.
No.
It's spelled Chryssaor. Obviously, I'll talk to Dr. Moy about this.
In my head, I've been saying Chrysor, but I'm not
Chrysor,
the person
yeah.
to ask about pronunciation.
Yeah, it just, the fact that it's AOR makes me feel like it isn't just or. Like
Chrysaor.
Like Chrysaor? Yeah, I don't know. Oh, you know what? Let's Google it.
We can get the AI voice to read it for
I know.
us.
And like sometimes it's right. Nope, there's no like auto one. So I never trust any of the YouTube videos. Here's one that has Greek lettering on it though. That feels promising. That's like very Greek sounding, but he says like Chrysaor. I don't know. Chrysaor? Dr. Moya, help. But yeah, I'll go with Chrysaor. My notes just wanted to keep making it Chrysler, which was really annoying. Just kept being like Chrysler. And I was genuinely surprised that Percy didn't make a Chrysler joke, but I feel like this dude came up maybe in one of the spinoff things that I've done. There's a chance maybe he showed up in like Demigods and Monsters or the Percy Jackson Greek Gods thing. But I feel like I have familiarity with Percy making a Chrysler joke. Maybe it was like earlier in the series, like maybe someone has talked about this dude at some point, but it's somewhere in the back of my brain, I was like, I feel like Percy made fun of the fact that this dude's name sounds like Chrysler. Hey, it's Mike from the future here. Editing Sherry did some investigative journalism work about this, so here's what she sent.
I looked it up so you don't have to, but apparently Chrysor was mentioned in the last Olympian when they were talking about like trophies in the big house attic that had like been symbols of like quests and stuff. And apparently in like the year 1988, Gus, a son of Hermes, stole a pair of fuzzy dice from Chrysaor's Honda Civic.
And that checks out because I'm pretty sure I made a comment about how this guy has a name that sounds like Chrysler, yet the fuzzy dice were on a Honda Civic. So that must be what was lingering in my brain. Anyway, back to the podcast. But I can't recall. But at least I was like, I feel like this is a thing. Anyway.
He doesn't make any Chrysler jokes in this book, and I was shocked. So Chrysler is walking back and forth, inspecting them like, quote, prized cattle. A dozen dolphin dudes stay in a ring around them with spears pointed at them, and then other warriors begin pillaging the ship. And Percy says that Chrysler's accent sounds familiar, and he asks him if they've met. He says that he hasn't had the pleasure, but he's heard all about him and, quote, his faithful sidekick, Annabeth Chase. She does not take that very well, as expected.
Annabeth is an independent woman.
Cue the Destiny's Child. She also knows immediately that his mom is Medusa and tells Percy. The way that she tells him, though, is, quote, his accent sounds familiar because he sounds like his mother. We killed her in New Jersey. And Percy goes, I'm pretty sure that accent isn't New Jersey. Who's his? Oh. As a New Jersey boy, I loved this. I loved Percy being like, no. It doesn't sound nearly Italian enough to be New Jersey. And then he says to Chrysler, Medusa's your mom? Dude, that sucks for you.
He doesn't let up with the quips.
Just like accidental burn here. Fantastic. Now, oh God, I didn't correct it. I was about to go, no, Chrysler says, because of my notes app, I didn't catch it. Chrysler says that Percy, is as arrogant as the first Firstius. He confirms that Poseidon is his dad and Medusa is his mom, and Athena is responsible for his mom becoming a monster. So this is just like very specific levels of disgust towards Annabeth and Percy. These are like prime people for him to be fighting against. Annabeth recalls that when original Perseus beheaded Medusa, 2 kids sprung out, him and Pegasus. And Percy, of course, goes, so your brother's a winged horse, but you're also my half-brother, which means all the flying horses in the world are my... You know what? Let's forget it. It's really good.
Percy's Greek family. We have interbred cousins, aka campers, Pegasus, Tyson the Cyclops, and this guy.
And then there's some other weirder stuff that Poseidon's done, but narrator Percy sums it up perfectly. He learned years ago it was better not to dwell too much on who was related to whom on the godly side of things. After Tyson the Cyclops adopted him as a brother, Percy decided that was about as far as he wanted to extend the family. Percy asks why he's never heard of him, if he's Medusa's son. Again, accidental diss. Be like, dude, I've never heard of you ever before. I totally should have. Medusa's your mom. You should be famous. What did you do wrong? Chrysler answers that when your brother is Pegasus, you get lost in the shadow. And he warns Percy not to underestimate him, though, as his name is the Golden Sword for a reason. And Percy goes, oh, yeah, is it Imperial Gold? And Chrysler corrects that it's Enchanted Gold. But yeah, Imperial Gold is just the rebranding of Enchanted Gold. So yes, it's the same thing.
And importantly, Ba is how he introduces the correction that it's Enchanted Gold. Also a favorite of mine, of Rick's lines.
Ba is really good. I use ga a lot in texting. Ba is really good, and it makes me think of one of the books that we have, the Willems Pigeon's books, which you have gifted me one, and a plush pigeon of the pigeon, which the baby loves. The little one's a big fan. There's a Christmas one. So the first like pigeon book is Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, and that's like the big famous one. It's won the Caldecott Award and all this other stuff. Speaking of Caldecott, so Caldecott is the name of like a children's book award that you can do, and I wonder if that's why Rick picked Caldecott Tunnel for Camp Jupiter, because he was like, oh hey, Caldecott. Like, I wonder, because in the episode where we did that, I was like, this tunnel's like not like a big famous tunnel, at least to my knowledge. As someone who lived there for a couple of months, like I'd never heard people be like, oh yeah, Caldecott Tunnel. It's not like the Holland Tunnel in New York / New Jersey, where it's like, oh yeah, big tunnel that always has bad traffic and the fare is like enormous. But Caldecott Tunnel, I think is because of the children's book. That would be at least my guess. I'll add that to the list of questions for Rick Riordan. And
so many important questions.
So many. That one skyrockets towards the top. One of these days, I'm going to have to like compile, because I did compile them when I like semi had him on the pod for the first round of interviews. But if I ever get like another chance to talk to him, I really got to like utilize the transcript feature and Control F all over the place and like really pick good questions. And by that, I mean really specific whack questions, as I am Juan to do.
You got to throw him off his rhythm.
Yeah, got to zag because they don't remember me. That legitimately worked for me with the producers, because at the Percy Jackson premiere, James Bobin was like, you're the guy who asked me about the Muppets. It's like, yes. Do you have an answer? So how did we get on this tunnel tangent? I know I'm the mayor of Tangent Town, but like what?
The pigeon books.
The pigeon book, right? Yes. So the pigeon books. The original one is Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. Then they made a Christmas one, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Sleigh. And it's about the pigeon wanting to drive Santa's sleigh. And there's a part, because the whole thing is the pigeon wants to do it, and you have to tell the pigeon, no, you can't do it because Santa has asked you, don't let the pigeon drive the sleigh. So you have to say no. And one of the times you say no to him, he goes, bah, like really big, and it takes up the whole page. And then the other page is him grumpily sitting. And then he goes, also humbug. And that's like written way smaller. And that was like one of the first things that like my daughter would repeat from a book. So like we would get to the page preceding the bah page, and she would go, bah, 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 and like we'd get ready, and then you turn the page, and then it would go bah, and she would go bah. Oh, it's so cute, so cute. So she would say bah all the time, and then she would like say more phrases from the book, but like bah was the first one, and that was like one of the first things of like she has reading comprehension, because like she would just like remember it. It was like genuinely like this is a huge milestone that she is remembering bah. So I have a soft spot in my heart for bah. Years later, the Romans renamed enchanted gold to imperial gold. Chrysor was the first person to use it in a blade. He says that he should have been the greatest hero of all time, but the history tellers ignored him, so he became a villain instead. Not good on the reasons. My villain origin story is, oh, people didn't write stories about me? Okay, dude. All right.
I wasn't the main character?
Yeah. Oh. Bad reason. He wanted to utilize his heritage. With Poseidon as his dad, he would rule the seas. With Medusa as his mom, he would instill fear all along the way. And Annabeth goes, you became a pirate. And he corrects that he became the best pirate.
I'm the best boy.
I'm the best. I mean, literally, I'm the golden boy. I'm the best boy. He says he has sailed these waters for centuries, and now the Mare Nostrum is his turf. A dolphin brings Hedge on deck, and Hedge yells, let me go, you tuna fish. Amazing. Percy notices that there are hoof-shaped dents in this dude's armor, so clearly Hedge has been kicking him all up and down and left and right. Chrysor instructs his men to chain up Hedge so that they can sell him as a snack to some Cyclopes. Hedge begins to call him a gilded little, but then he gets gagged, so he doesn't have an expletive. He's also then trussed and tossed along with the other loot. Do you know what being trussed means?
Isn't that like when you tie up a turkey to like roast it?
Yes. Okay, that is what it says. All right, great. I had no idea what it was, but I was like, I am assuming this means like roping him up. Annabeth yells that Chrysor can't do this. Chrysor laughs inside of his mask, and Percy wonders, why is this guy wearing a mask? Is his face disfigured? Does he have the same stone powers of his mom? What's going on with this mask? Chrysor says that he can do whatever he wants. He boasts that he has a perfect crew, and Percy counters, they're dolphins. And Chrysor explains that they were cursed for kidnapping the wrong person. Gotta ask Dr. Moya, or do I? Because it'll be answered quite quickly after. He says that they fear nothing, and then a dolphin dude chatters nervously, and he says, oh yeah, sorry, one thing, which makes me think of like the Branson Reese comic of the like no fears, one fear.
I don't know this comic.
It's great. It's a guy wearing a shirt that says no fear, and then the other person in the middle panel goes, I think like has a sign or says him like, what if they made NSFW Simpsons drawings illegal? And then his shirt changes to say one fear. But it's just a great meme template because you can like put something else in like the middle portion. I've done this for TNO and Potterless stuff for sure. So chatters nervously, and then he says they have one fear, but that doesn't matter because he's not here. So I wrote in my notes, bring him here. Well, we'll see. Then Percy, as the narrator, says, an idea began tickling at the base of Percy's skull. And we'll see it. It's great. So the rest of the team is routed by the dolphins. Jason is unconscious, and I wrote, not again. We can't keep letting this happen. This can't keep happening. Hazel and Piper are bound up. Piper is also gagged, so clearly they found out her powers. Frank is missing, but 2 dolphins are covered in bee stings. So narrator Percy then goes, could Frank actually turn into a swarm of bees? Percy hopes so. If he was free aboard the ship somewhere, that could be an advantage, assuming Percy could figure out how to communicate with him. Chrysor is hyped. He tells his henchmen to dump Jason near the crossbows, and then he grins at the girls in a way that Percy really doesn't like. And then he continues, the boy's no use to me, but we have an understanding with the witch Circe. She will buy the women either as slaves or trainees, depending on their skill, but not you, lovely Annabeth. Creepy vibes all around.
Yeah.
Really, really creepy vibes.
He said he was a villain.
Yeah, he's really living up to it. Annabeth says that he is not going to take her anywhere. Percy feels Riptide back in his pocket, so he thinks if I could defeat Chrysor quickly, the crew may freak out. Narrator Percy then says, quote, he wished he knew something about Chrysor's weaknesses. Usually Annabeth provided him with information like that, but apparently Chrysor didn't have any legends, so they were both in the dark. He is just accidentally dunking on this dude left and right. It's hilarious. And I do wonder, like, how popular are stories about him? Like, is this a true thing? And Rick really is using something much like Hades the video game made stories out of Zagreus, who's like not a very popular person. Maybe that's the case, but I feel like I've heard this dude's name before, but it might just have come up in a Percy Jackson book before. So again, I'll check that with Dr. Boy. How popular is Chrysor? The Golden Boy then tuts. Tutting's the worst. The most condescending of noise you can make. Tut, tut, tut. He tuts and says that Annabeth and Percy are spoken for. He was told to capture them alive, but nothing was said about them being unharmed. Narrator Percy then says, quote, "At that moment, Piper caused the disturbance they needed. She wailed so loudly it could be heard through her gag. Then she fainted against the nearest guard, knocking him over. Hazel got the idea and crumpled to the deck, kicking her legs and thrashing like she was having a fit."
I'm personally very much a fan of using madness to get away from creepy people.
I totally get it. Percy draws Riptide and slashes for Chrysor's neck, but he is too fast. He dodges and parries, and his goons give him enough space to fight. The crew eggs him on like this is common, and this happens all the time. Narrator Percy says, quote, "Percy hadn't crossed swords with an opponent like this since he'd battled the war god Ares." Chrysor was that good. Many of Percy's powers had gotten stronger over the years, but now, too late, Percy realized that swordplay wasn't one of them. This does track. Like, he hasn't trained in years, so this makes sense. Whereas, like, new water stuff is popping up left and right. So I get it.
And historically, wasn't swordplay something he wasn't naturally good at?
Right, he had to learn from Luke. And speaking of, Percy feels rusty, and without meaning to, he begins to hear Luke's voice in his head giving suggestions. Pretty cool. The vibes aren't helping as well in terms of Percy's nerves and feeling like he can't get this fight to go his way. The mask is creepy. The fog is creepy. The deck is slippery. The henchmen are chattering. Percy also sees a goon holding a knife to Annabeth's neck like no funny business. So not great. Then this chapter ends with this quote from the book. "He feinted and thrust at Chrysor's gut, but Chrysor anticipated the move. He knocked Percy's sword out of his hand again, and once more Riptide flew into the sea. Chrysor laughed easily. He wasn't even winded. He pressed the tip of his golden sword against Percy's sternum. 'A good try,' said the pirate, 'but now you'll be chained and transported to Gia's minions. They are quite eager to spill your blood and wake the goddess.'" So,
They're in a pickle.
Now, I have retitled this one to make reference to a vine that I really enjoyed, and one of my friends is in the Merry Chrysler vine, where it's like, "Merry Christmas, Happy Crisis, Merry Chrysler." In honor of Merry Chrysler, I have retitled this one Perry Chrysor because the parrying. Do you have retitling for chapter 30?
Mine was Child's Play, just not for me.
That's great. That's great. Alrighty, now let's quickly do the beginning of chapter 31. It's also called Percy. It opens with, quote, "Nothing like total failure to generate ideas." Percy's so used to Annabeth providing him with information that he's surprised that he could actually remember stuff. It's such a good, humble moment from him. He knows that he can't beat Chrysor one-on-one, but perhaps if the crew was gone, 7-on-1 would be enough. So he hatches a plan to deal with the crew. He's going to call the person that they fear. And I was like, hey, that was my suggestion. Good idea. Percy knows the story because he was threatened to be turned into a dolphin by the same subject. And I was like, Mr. D, oh my gosh, this is great. So Percy sees Frank in his human form hiding behind a ballista. And he thinks as to how Frank, even though he always claims to be this clumsy and useless dude, he's always seemingly exactly where Percy needs him when he needs him. So he's coming through in the clutch. I love a Percy Frank moment. Narrator Percy says, quote, "It was a crazy idea, but as usual, that's all Percy had." So Percy then screams, "Fine, take us away if our captain will let you." And then Chrysor goes, "Wait a second, what captain? We didn't find a captain on the boat. What's going on?" And Percy says, the god only appears when he desires, but he is our leader. He's the director of our camp. Isn't that right, Annabeth?" And she catches on quickly and goes, "Yes, Mr. D, the great Dionysus." So the goons are spooked. Chrysor tells them to hold steady, convinced that this is a trick. Percy says, "This is no trick. You should all be quaking in your boots." And then he asks, "Didn't you notice the girls falling into the wine god's madness?" And then Hazel and Piper stop their shaking fits, and then Percy shoots them a look of like, "Come on, fits of madness." And then they resume them.
He's like, "You gotta work with me." Like, yes, and.
Yeah, Annabeth yes-anded very well. Very proud of her improv instincts. These two, you got to get up to speed. Chrysor still thinks that this is fake, citing that it's well known Mr. D was recalled to Olympus. So then Percy yes-anding goes, "Oh, well then we are doomed." And he says, "If you don't believe me, why don't you check the ice chest?" And Percy walks over, praying that there's one in there. And I wrote, isn't this a magic ice chest? Like, couldn't you just make a Diet Coke appear in this no matter what? Or is like there one non-magical ice chest on the whole boat and this is it?
Well, he calls it the magical cooler. So like,
right? It has to be in there.
But maybe Leo's programmed it so complexly that only Leo can work its magic. You never know with him.
Maybe the magic is actually in the mess hall in the kitchen and like when it's out of there, it's like normal now that it's been like removed and on deck. I don't know, but I thought this was wild. But there is thankfully a can of Diet Coke in there. So Percy holds it out like it's bug repellent that they should be running away from. And he goes, "Behold, the gods' chosen beverage. Tremble before the horror of Diet Coke." So good. Once this started happening, I was like, oh, this is why Sherry called dibs. Okay, this is amazing. Arguably my favorite part of the book so far.
Yeah, oh my God.
So fun. They freak out. Percy says that he will finish their transformation into dolphins, drive them insane, or turn them into insane dolphins. And the book goes, "Save yourself," Percy warned. "It is too late for us." Then he gasped and pointed to the spot where Frank was hiding. "Oh no, Frank is turning into a crazy dolphin." Nothing happened. I said...
Frank, you got a yes and...
I said... Percy repeated. They got to have improv practice after this. "I said," Percy repeated, "Frank is turning into a crazy dolphin." Frank stumbled out of nowhere, making a big show of grabbing his throat. "Oh no," he said, like he was reading from a teleprompter. Oh, sorry. "Oh no," he said, like he was reading from a teleprompter. "I am turning into a crazy dolphin."
Come on, Frank. We need 110% effort here. 50% is not cutting it.
He began to change, his nose elongating into a snout, his skin becoming sleek and gray. He fell to the deck as a dolphin, his tail thumping against the boards. So good. The crew scatters, they drop their weapons, they jump overboard. Annabeth frees the rest of the crew in the chaos. Chrysor says this isn't over, he will get his revenge. Frank turns into a giant grizzly and swipes at his head. The mask is now off. Chrysor screams, he covers his face, he falls into the water. They look over the railing. They look over the railing, but he's gone. Percy considers chasing after him, but he doesn't trust these waters. The book goes, "That was brilliant." Annabeth kissed him, which made him feel a little better. "It was desperate," Percy corrected, "and we need to get rid of this pirate trireme." "Burn it?" Annabeth asked. Percy looked at the Diet Coke in his hand. "No, I've got another idea." So then they do all of this prep with like Percy doing stuff, Leo doing stuff. They return their weapons to their ship. They don't raid the treasure room. Even though Hazel can tell that there's $6 million worth of stuff here, Frank goes, "Is it Canadian or USD?" And he's like, really like, "We should keep this money." But Percy says, "Leave it. It's part of the tribute." And I wrote, yo, this is so good. This is amazing. Hazel's confused. Piper gets it. Jason gets it. He says, "Crazy, but I like it." And I love them being bros. Percy opens up the flood valves. Leo had drilled holes in the hull. So our team assembles on our safe boat. And then watching this boat from a distance, Piper uses the horn to fill the ship with Diet Coke, making it sink. And then the book goes, "Dionysus," Percy called, holding up Chrysor's golden mask. "Or Bacchus, whatever. You made this victory possible, even if you weren't here. Your enemies trembled at your name or your Diet Coke or something. So yeah, thank you."
Great speech, Percy.
Really good. Really, really good. But then he says, "We give this ship to you as tribute. We hope you like it." Leo thinks he better. It's worth $6 million. Percy then also tosses the mask aboard. Then he summons a wave. And I was like, ooh, that's promising that he can summon a wave. And then the vessel disappears. Piper asks if it's polluting. Jason says the ship should vanish if Bacchus likes the tribute. And then we will end this with this book quote. Percy didn't know if that would happen, but he felt like he'd done all he could. He had no faith that Dionysus would hear them or care, much less help them in their battle against the twin giants. But he had to try. As the Argo 2 headed east into the fog, Percy decided at least one good thing had come out of his sword fight with Chrysor. He was feeling humble, even humble enough to pay tribute to the wine dude. And that is the end of this episode. So much fun. I do have to like run and get ready for the live show.
I love this Boston Tea Party imagery. Mary Nostrum Diet Coke Party.
It's great. It's great. Awesome. Well, Sherry, thank you so much for joining. This is fantastic. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. And until we see how this goes along the Mare Nostrum, I'll see you later. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of The News Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry The music is by Bettina Campamanes and Brendan Krugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you can't get enough of the show, you can go to thenewsolympian.com/Patreon for bonus episodes, bonus content, ad-free episodes, a whole bunch of fun stuff. If you want to interact with the community around the show, you can check out the Discord, which is available to all patrons, or we're on social media. We're at News Olympian on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And we've got a subreddit, reddit.com/r/thenewest-olympian. You can also show your love for TNO by getting TNO merch at thenewsolympian.com/merch. Of course, I want to give a huge shout out to our producer level patrons, Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Sam Ruby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Mick Walters, Grace, Ginger Spursboy, Bradimus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jack's Son, Kit Kat Crumbs, Jim Jam Koopy, Andrea, not Andrea, Jordan Ray, Nico's Black, Vespa, Zayden Wintergate, and Terry
Rothfuss. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, word of mouth is essential for podcast growth. You can tell a friend directly, say, hey, there's this Percy Jackson podcast I think you would like, check it out. You could leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using, or you could just talk about the show on social media. All these things really do help. I really appreciate anyone who has done so in the past, and I appreciate anyone who will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune into our next episode where we'll be joined by Johnny Frolickstein live in his hometown of St. Louis to finish up chapter 31 and also cover chapters 32 and 33 of the Mark of Athena. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mix. So as I've mentioned, the auxiliary studio is just Kelly and I's closet in our bedroom. And what I need to do after recording this is take a shower. And I need to get my pajamas out. So I'm just going to get my pajamas out of my dresser, which is where all this audio equipment is on top of right now. And that'll be the second. All right, let's get it all out. Okay, let's get some socks. Okay, let's get a shirt. Ooh, which one? Ooh, this one. And then let's go these pajama pants. Great. Got it. Awesome. Thank you so much for listening.